I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. I need it!
Let's talk about the High Plains water crisis. The Ogallala Aquifer is the water supply for one of the most productive regions in American agriculture. This region supports a fifth of American corn, wheat, and cotton, and a quarter of American beef production, representing 1/6 of total world grain production. Depletion threatens to reverse the gains of productivity all the way since the 1950s, and that's the best case scenario. The worst case looks more like the Dust Bowl. Total depletion threatens municipal water supplies and greatly reduces agricultural and economic productivity in the entire region.
For our first calculation, we performed a mass balance of the water flowing in and out of the aquifer. By removing the constant area from the calculation, this equation became a function of height. The change in height out was found to be 3.01 inches, and when multiplied by the area, led to a volumetric flow rate out of 34.5 million cubic meters per year. By dividing the volume by the net change in volume per time of the aquifer, we found that the water supply in the aquifer will last around 70 years.
There are a couple places where we can fix this problem. We can increase flow rate in by restoring native grasslands and wetlands, which exhibit high recharge rates. We can also decrease the flow rate out by shifting to less resource-intensive crops and livestock and changing irrigation strategies.
Plaias are dry bed desert lakes found in climates that are more dry than wet. They are the primary source of recharge for the aquifer, contributing 95% of all recharge. Functioning plaias have a clay basin and a grass buffer. Water transfer into the aquifer occurs via large cracks in the clay layer by 3 locations: the playa edge, the cracks in the clay, and plant roots. This water is also better quality because the grasses trap sediments in the flow into the playa, and soil beneath the playa removes nitrates in the water and other contaminants.
There are a lot of gains that can be found from restoring playas. Of 80,000 playas in the region, about 70% have been altered by agricultural practices, the extent to which is difficult to quantify and can't be generalized. So conservatively, restoration could double average recharge rate from 0.85 inches per year to 1.7 inches per year. This restoration is an ongoing process via federal subsidy. Decreasing flow out is another option. This can be done by dryland crops, restoring grasslands, and buffalo grazing.
Dryland crops, also known as just changing crops, involves planting crops which do not require irrigation, such as wheat and sunflowers. Variants such as drought-tolerant corn has also been used because it reduces water consumption, as well as these other crops.
Restoring native grasses is another option. Native grasses have deep roots that provide structure to soil, increasing permeation into groundwater and retention for dryland crops, as well as preventing topsoil loss. No-till farming plants fields without tilling, often directly on top of these native grasses. This allows farming with many of the benefits of the native species. Buffalo are a third alternative. They're native to the Great Plains, requiring little to no human intervention to survive in that environment. They encourage the growth of native grasses over crops or trees, restoring soil and increasing permeability.
For our second calculation, we determined the water reduction necessary to make the aquifer sustainable. To do this, we set the dryland conversion equal to the water reduction. When assuming that when the playas are restored, the average recharge rate will double, and that the volumetric flow rate is the same as calculated earlier, the percent reduction necessary was found to be 43%. Current regulations aim to cut water usage by 20%, which is still below the percent necessary to make this aquifer a sustainable source of water.
The consequences of aquifer depletion look somewhat similar to the solutions. Both involve a return to dryland farming and resettlement, either due to intentional rewilding or economic decline. This can be a process of breaking slowly or a process of crashing into a brick wall. Either way, water usage in the plains will decrease by 40% in the coming decades.
Moving forward, what can we do from our home state of Pennsylvania? The primary action is to reduce beef intake. If it were possible to avoid using corn, it should be, but this is unrealistic because of the presence of corn syrup in so many products. We could consume bison meat instead of beef, but it is much more expensive. Unfortunately, taking action with our wallet is not the most effective, but at a distance, it is something we can do. All right, that's it. What was the